it's Emily with Drift Lead. Welcome back to another video. In this one, we're going to be talking about Facebook ads versus Google ads and tackling this very common debate as to which is the optimal platform. We get a lot of new clients that come to us and they have been told by several people that they should be on Facebook ads, told by others they should be on Google ads, and they really just don't know where to start. And honestly, there are a lot of ongoing debates as to which is the better platform and which should be used when. And so we are here to tackle this topic in depth. We're going to discuss each platform, sort of the intricacies and considerations to bear in mind with each, and ultimately which is going to be most ideal for your specific business and campaign goals. So let's begin by going through each platform at a high level before we dig into the nitty-gritty. So let's start with Google Ads. Google Ads, to no surprise, is going to include any ads that you would see across Google and its assets. So for instance, your search ads that you see at the top, your shopping ads, which are going to be ideal for e-commerce businesses that show specific products, YouTube ads, which run across YouTube videos, and then display ads, which are going to run across the Google Display Network or the GDN, which many publishers opt into. In addition to those, there are some other ad formats that Google offers, but those are going to be the main ones. On the flip side, you have Facebook, or now Meta, which is going to encompass all of the ads that you see across Facebook and Instagram as well. From an advertiser perspective, you have the ability to tap into Meta's huge audience of over 2 billion unique users on each platform. When it comes down to comparing these two channels, they both are going to be able to serve some of your needs in one way or another. They have a lot of similarities. They're going to be able to offer similar ad formats in some situations. Of course, the biggest difference is going to be where the ads are shown and therefore the state of mind that the user who's seeing these ads is likely in. So if we had to sum it up into one explanation, the easiest way to describe it is most times with Google Ads, you're going to have some sort of intent behind that user's interaction with your brand, meaning that they're usually going to be searching for a keyword that would indicate they are in market for or actively researching what you're offering. On the flip side, Facebook is completely audience-based, meaning that you sort of have to proactively identify who your target customer is and build campaigns to target those users. Google tends to be more mid to bottom of funnel, where Facebook tends to be a little bit more top of funnel. Although, of course, there is the opportunity on both platforms to do retargeting ads and things like that, where at that point, the user is likely a little bit further along in the buying journey. So let's dive into this topic of targeting a little bit more, because this is going to be sort of the key component when it comes to deciding which platform is going to be most ideal for your business. With Google, most campaigns are going to be driven by keywords. While at its core, Google is a keyword-driven advertising channel, they do offer the ability to target off of audiences as well. And these audiences can either be layered into a search campaign that has that keyword targeting, or in the case of video or display, can be the only targeting mechanism. Now, the way that Google structures their audiences is quite a bit different than Facebook, so let's dive into that a little bit more. So with your Google campaigns, you're gonna have the ability to target users based off of their demographic, so their age, gender, education, etc., their affinities, so any kind of propensities or interests that the user likely has just based off of other online behavior. And then of course, you'll be able to target off of first party data, so retargeting audiences, customer lists, etc. And with all these audiences, while you can use them as a targeting option, you can also use them to exclude certain audiences from your campaign. So a very common example would be using a customer list to exclude that from a branded search campaign. So let's shift gears and talk about Facebook. As I already mentioned, Facebook is an audience-driven platform, meaning that you have to have an audience that you're targeting at the forefront of every campaign you're running. Now, one of the reasons Facebook has been so successful from an advertising perspective, and one of the reasons that Facebook has maybe had some controversies over the years, are because of its very robust audience targeting capabilities. Now, like Google, with Facebook, you are going to still be able to target your first party audiences. You're going to be able to target people based off of demographics. You're going to be able to target based off of interest and also behaviors. Now, the key thing to keep in mind when you are comparing the audience targeting of both of these platforms is that Facebook is going to offer a far more extensive list for each of those categories, and it's going to be a lot more accurate. Keywords, Google, audiences, Facebook, because that is sort of what each platform specializes in. Now that we've discussed the differences between both platforms from a targeting perspective, let's discuss the ad formats between each. So both platforms, Google and Facebook, are going to support image and video ads. Now the specs are going to be different between the two, so make sure you look into that before working on your ad creative. Now, something that Facebook does not offer that Google does is your text ads, your traditional search ads that you see at the top of a search engine result page. Of course, Facebook doesn't offer this because it's not a search engine. Something that Facebook offers that Google does not are carousel ads. At least that's what Facebook calls them. And those are going to be the ads where you have multiple images that you can kind of scroll through, almost like a slideshow. Both platforms do offer their own variation of shopping or e-commerce ads where you can directly promote a product and the user can click and go purchase it. Now that we understand sort of the key differences between both campaigns from a targeting perspective and also an ad format perspective, as you can imagine, with these two things being quite different from platform to platform, the metrics you may want to look at are going to be a little bit different when you're optimizing for a campaign on Google versus a campaign on Facebook. Most metrics that you would find on Google ads are also going to be available on Facebook ads and vice versa. So you're going to have your typical reach metrics, impressions reach, engagement. As I mentioned before, with Facebook being a little bit more audience-based and proactive, usually your CPAs on Facebook are going to be quite a bit higher than they would be on Google just because the user is a little bit higher in that customer journey. While Facebook is pretty good at attributing conversions to their campaigns, it's sort of a data-driven algorithm. It's not 100%. Something to keep in mind, you know, a person who sees an ad on Facebook may go back and convert via Google, and Facebook may not get credit for that, where Google will. So again, just something to keep in mind when you're looking at these metrics because they're going to differ quite a bit from platform to platform. And as I mentioned, both platforms are going to have a lot of similar metrics to look at. Each is also going to have some of their own unique metrics. So for example, with Facebook, you may want to be looking at your frequency or how often an individual is seeing your ads. And then something unique with Google would be these competitive metrics of top of page rate, impression share, some of those that actually show how often you're showing up in the search engine result page and roughly what your average position may be. Now that we've discussed the key differences between each platform, let's go through the pros and cons of each. Let's start with Facebook. So the most obvious pro of using Facebook is the very advanced and accurate audience targeting. This is going to be basically unparalleled with any other advertising solution. Facebook is simply the best in the business when it comes to targeting a specific audience at the right time. Second thing that is going to be advantageous with Facebook is that it is a very visual platform. So if you have a really visual product, or maybe it's pretty complex and it needs some sort of visuals to help explain it, you can't really articulate what you need to with a couple sentences, Facebook's going to be really ideal for that. Facebook is also a social media platform. So with that, you have the potential of creating social traction, of people sharing, and potentially getting an ad that goes viral. Now, while each platform offers the ability to remarket to users who've been to the site, the match rate or the, accuracy of these lists is going to be a lot higher on Facebook than it is on Google. So you're going to be able to reach a lot more of those people who came to your site than you would be able to with a Google retargeting campaign. And finally, because this is an audience-driven platform, Facebook really is great when you're trying to build brand awareness and create that initial or secondary touch point with the user. Let's jump into some of the cons of Facebook. Because it is audience-driven, because it is a little bit more top of funnel, there's less intent. And with that, you're usually going to see higher CPAs and lower ROAS than you would with a Google campaign. And in addition, attribution is a little bit tricky. You're not going to get 100% clear picture of exactly how well your ads are working. The second downside of Facebook is, again, because it's a very visual platform, it puts a lot of pressure on the ad creative to be exceptional and to really get people's attention. And with that, you tend to experience ad fatigue pretty quickly with Facebook ads because it is visual. This is something you wouldn't have with a search campaign. So let's shift gears and talk about Google, and we will start with the advantages of using Google Ads. The most glaring, obvious reason that you would want to be running a Google campaign is because there's high intent. A user is going to see your ad when they are searching for what you offer. So with that, you're going to have higher conversion rates. For this reason, you're usually going to see results a lot quicker with Google than you would with Facebook, just because with Facebook, you have to have multiple touch points and really work out this perfect funnel, where Google, the front part of that has already been taken care of for you. You're really just focusing on 2 last steps of that buying journey. While of course, search is Google's bread and butter, they do offer a lot of diverse ad formats. So video, display, shopping, etc. So there really is an option for everyone. Now let's go over the downsides of using Google Ads. While advertisers don't have to pay until someone clicks on their ad, the cost for that single click can be very high, especially when you're bidding on very competitive keywords. The second downside of Google is that it is a fairly complex platform. You really should have experience working in Google Ads in order to run an effective campaign. There are a lot of nuances, there are a lot of features on the platform, and it can take quite a bit of time to really figure out what you're doing. Also, with it being primarily a search-driven platform, there are going to be less opportunities to show visuals. So this could be a downside if you have a very visual product, or again, it's pretty complex and needs some visuals to help explain it. And finally, the last downside of using Google Ads is that your ads are going to be a lot more susceptible to ad blockers than you would on Facebook, where by using the platform, the user is consenting to see ads. So now let's talk about the things to consider when you're trying to decipher which platform to use. I'm going to address this, but before we do, I do want to offer a little spoiler that most of our clients use both platforms. While one may do something very well, for instance, Google is going to help capitalize on those searches, Facebook can really be a great complement to that because it can help build up that top of funnel awareness, which can strengthen the performance of your Google Ads campaigns, and vice versa. While you may have a product that's visual, you may really need to focus on building brand awareness. You can use a search campaign to make sure that you're showing up when the user is searching for what they're looking for. And a lot of times both platforms work really nicely together. You usually don't actually have to choose between one or the other, but in case you are just getting started with advertising and you maybe just want to start with one, or you kind of want to run each in isolation to get a baseline of how each performs on its own before introducing the other, then let's discuss some things to consider when you're trying to decide between Google Ads or Facebook ads. The first thing that you're going to want to consider is going to be the goal of the campaign. If it's to build brand awareness, if it's to create that initial touch point with users, if it's to show your visual product, then Facebook is probably going to be the best option. On the flip side, if you really want to focus on driving sales or driving leads, or capitalizing on an intent that already exists, then search may be a great option. The other thing to think about is how innovative your business is. So for instance, if you are a plumber, Google is going to be a great option because when somebody needs a plumber, they're going to be searching in Google. Whereas if it's some sort of unique e-commerce product that people may not know about, they're probably not searching for it. So Facebook may be a better option in that situation. The next thing to consider is who your audience is. Do you know who your audience is? You should, but if you don't for some reason, then Facebook may not be the best place to start, although it can be a great way to learn who your audience is. Maybe you have a couple hypotheses of who your target user is. You can run some different campaigns targeting each of those audiences and see who the best performer is. The next thing to consider is your budget. Facebook is going to be a lot more manageable from a budget perspective because it's based off of that CPM. So you can set your budget up front. This is how much I'm willing to spend, and you will receive a certain amount of impressions based on that budget. Whereas Google is a little bit more tricky because sometimes it's going to cost $20 to $30 to get one single click. And so for some advertisers, that's going to be a day's budget. It also depends on the campaign optimization or the bidding strategy that you use. So it tends to be a little bit harder and more expensive to iron out the budget on Google, where Facebook can be a bit more manageable and affordable. The next thing to consider is your access to creative assets. Do you already have some videos or images you want to run? Do you have an in-house creative team that can create these ads and iterate on them? Are you going to be able to refresh them frequently? If the answer is no, Google may be a better option because you can run a very successful campaign with just text. If you are brand new to advertising, or maybe you've been running ads on one platform and haven't been seeing the results you've been hoping for, definitely reach out to us, because that is what we do at Driftlead, is help manage advertising campaigns. So just go to our website, driftlead.com, and request a free marketing plan, and we are more than happy to help advise on which platform to use, or maybe, what could be going wrong with an existing campaign. Or if you've never advertised before and you don't really know where to start, we can advise on that as well. If you did like this video, please give it a thumbs up so that we know, and be sure to subscribe to our channel for more marketing tips and tricks, and we will see you in our next video.